I'd like to call a meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Belsley.
Here.
Blunier. Dobb.
Here.
Hare. Herman.
Here.
Kaufman.
Here.
Rainson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are no public hearings scheduled, no special reports to be presented. Would anyone in the audience like to make a public comment? Would anyone in the audience like to withdraw something from the consent agreement? It's just approval of bills and minutes. Would any of the trustees like to pull anything from the consent agenda? Hearing nothing, I'll have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Can I have a second? Second by Tom. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Please call it.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
I have nothing. How about the village clerk?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Village administrator?
I have one item tonight, Your Honor, rather a big one, though. I have prepared what I thought might be the final budget for our fiscal year 2018, beginning May 1st through April 30th, 2018. We are still showing a deficit in the general fund of $308,816. There have been several cuts made to most of the general fund departments. It's basically down to cutting projects or personnel services, that type of thing. So I have brought it back for your consideration to see where we want to go from here.
Can I have a motion to get this on the floor?
I'd move approval, Your Honor.
Move approval. Do I have a second? Second with Tom. Any discussion?
I think the original budget projected 1.209 deficit.
Correct, when we
And I
started.
believe Craig has cut 427,500 from the roads. And I believe you were asked to go through all the budgets,
Yes,
and you cut approximately, administrator, 475,000. So we've cut almost a little over $900,000. We're left with a deficit of 308. Now, if revenues come in higher, that'll be less, but that does give us time between now and July 1st when we do the appropriations
correct.
to...
We're legally bound by the appropriations. The budget is a control item more so than it is a legal item.
Correct, but we have till July 1st then to find another $308,000 cuts.
Julie, would you explain for public consumption? This is being referred to as the final budget, and yet it's really not. The final budget is the appropriations we make in July. So could you kind of explain for the public the difference?
I was going to say, I think Pat probably could give you more of a legal interpretation of that than I.
Be happy to help with that. The appropriation ordinance establishes your legal maximum spending limits. Your budget represents a document of internal fiscal control. So the budget's intended to control spending. The appropriation legally limits spending. The appropriation has to be completed within 3 months of the start of your fiscal year. Traditionally, we've done our budget at the start of the fiscal year to have our plan for spending in place at the origin of your fiscal year and do the appropriation in or about July.
Because we have to function from our May to July, so we need a budget to function from May to July.
The budget represents our fiscal plan to operate from May to July. If you didn't approve the budget tonight, your department heads can still spend in accordance with past practices and in accordance with your spending policy, but it'd be consistent generally with the objectives of the budget to implement that financial plan for how you actually want to spend your money as soon as it's at a level you're comfortable at.
Yeah, I think the trustees and the staff that they work with have done a really good job. And at our last meeting, the deficit was 782,000 and change, and that's been brought down to 308. And it's pretty good, and we need to have something to function with. And we've got from now to July to find that $300,000. So everybody's gonna have to work hard to make sure that when we do appropriations, we have a no deficit.
We had a surprise in the month of April. Our sales tax came in almost 400,000 more than what normally is in April. I had contacted the state to find out why, and the comment was there was a sales tax payer within the village that was audited and had to pay a large amount of sales tax. So we may get a windfall like that.
Well, I'll take the money, but you really can't budget that way.
No.
Any other discussion?
Your Honor, may I say something while we're on this topic?
Sure.
I approached the board several months ago and was talking about the requirement from the state, the 911 Advisory Board, of a consolidation that may happen. I received approval from the board to go forward with that, with the potential of possibly increasing expansion to our facility, which, as you're all aware of, was built and opened up in 2004 with the thought in mind that there was a knockout wall on this east end. We have gone forward with that as the ETSB in discussion. It appears to be a plan that may go forward and have that construction. The 911 Advisory Board gave several dates for certain completion, items to be completed by. One of which is the ETSB has to have a plan in place, a written plan submitted to them by October 1st. To assist the ETSB with that, they put out RFPs to consulting groups which deal with consolidation. The ETSB has its monthly meeting on Wednesday of this week with the plan to look at 4 consulting groups which submitted RFPs, and have a selection done on the following day. The deadline for all the work is to be done by June 16th of this year, which obviously would be prior to our appropriations meeting. I have given each board member a packet with a potential cost that we're looking at, and there is the possibility that we may need to add some of those monies at the appropriation. So I want the board to be mindful that that may be something. This is a mandated thing by the state, which is not subsidized. There are grants out there, but there are 9 counties within the state of Illinois that have 0 911 services, and they're getting the preference on grants.
Yeah, I think we should emphasize that for the public, that this isn't something we dreamed up and thought would be a great idea. The
No.
state mandated this without funding and said, just do it.
Right. The 911 services previously were overseen by the Illinois Commerce Commission. The state police has taken that helm. The state police in their own structure have been consolidating their dispatch facilities. So the tentative plan right now is for us to consolidate with Washington and East Peoria and continue dispatching for the agencies that we all presently do. But the consulting group will give us a better idea of the staffing that we're going to need, and we'll all have those individuals that come in and walk up that need service as well, and what kind of staffing we'll need there. There'll be a potential cost, though we won't be paying for dispatchers as we do now, but there'll still be a cost to that, a contractual cost that we would have to pay to whatever company ends up holding.
But all the more reason that we've got to keep working on this budget.
And I should point out that that deficit is only in the general fund. Overall, all the funds come into a surplus of 1.2 million, but the deficit is just the general fund.
But the
Any-
general fund, so the public knows, pays for the police, fire, paramedics, streets,
Administration.
administration. So the gas, water, stormwater, sewer tax, those are all separate funds and legally have to be used for those separate operations, so we can't really touch those. So when you hear taxing bodies talk about that famous general fund, that's the operational fund
Correct.
that pays for those.
Any other comments or questions, Randy?
Yeah, I appreciate Chief Hilliard bringing that up. I know he shared that information with us earlier in the year. Could you refresh our memory right now, because it wasn't
We're
in the
probably
budget.
looking at about $500,000 to $750,000.
Yeah. And that's whatever that final number is, it's proportionally or equally shared among the participating.
There are, well, it will be shared. It's not necessarily equally shared. There are portions of the expansion that would increase sizes to our facilities. The equal portion will be that which is added on specifically for the area of the dispatch. Not necessarily the dispatching area itself, but anything that was relocated, and that would be an equal share. There's also shares that will deal with phone lines, the equipment, because the console equipment will have to become NG 911 or next generation 911 capable. The equipment that we have now, our dispatching equipment, is not that. That's a mandate that's going to be required for all dispatch centers to be NG 911. That means the texting, the videoing, etc. So the equipment that we're looking at with the purchase in that is going to be that.
In addition to the 500 or approximately? Or part of
That is a part
That is a
of
part of
those monies.
It's about $1 million of equipment, isn't it?
Well, it's $1.3 million is what they're looking for the phone line equipment stuff, about just over $800,000 for the building construction. But that $1.3 million is divided by several more entities. The Taswaupecan Consolidated Communication Center would pick up 50% of that. But that is also, the portion of that would have to be done by the ETSB.
And what the citizens need to realize, I talked to a Washington councilman, and they've remodeled their police station. We built a new one. Now the state comes in and mandates this, and we have to find this money in the general fund. It's really, it's a big budget item.
Right. It's something that long-term is supposed to save money, but, you know, I'm not convinced of that, at least with the initial cost that it's going to carry to all the municipalities. It's not a drop in the bucket by any means, and it'll be many years, I think, before we start seeing any of the savings of that. So.
Thank you, Chief.
Any other comments on the budget?
I appreciate, first of all the hard work that Julie and the department heads have done so far. I mean, taking us from a little in excess of $750,000 deficit down to where we're at now, a little over $308,000. And Pat did a good job of explaining that. That was one of my questions I wanted to, I guess, get clarity on, is that, first of all, we're not required to pass the budget tonight. It's a working document in that sense. It doesn't become final till we have the appropriations in place. So I struggle a little bit with approval of a deficit budget, and I guess just the message of that, even though I know we're working at whittling that down. What I'm wondering is maybe some middle ground there is to table this with the intention that within another 30 days we could take a deeper dive, a stronger look at this, so that we could come back, say, in 2 meetings from now. We'd actually have new trustees on board that would have some skin in the game, so to speak, with the new budget, and allow us, hopefully at that time, to approve a budget that is going to be balanced. That's my thoughts. I don't know, in the meantime, it wouldn't hold us up operationally from any expenditures, because we got the authority to spend those dollars now as needed, according to the appropriations that are in place now. So I guess those are my thoughts right now.
My comment would be, we actually start out with $1.2 million deficit. We got to the 780 because of the 427 that Mr. Laudermilk made.
Yeah.
So it's taken probably 40 days at least to whittle this down 900,000. I think the last 308 is going to be tough. I think they're going to have to look at it hard. I mean, we're talking about jobs or something else. I hate to just have that done in 2 to 4 weeks. It may take till June to get that done. When I was a new trustee, the new trustees come in, most of them haven't been at a meeting. So how are they gonna look at this with fresh eyes or anything else? I think we need to pass the budget and let those heads work on it. They've cut 900,000, but it's taken a while. And I think we need to take our time to correctly cut the correct 300,000.
I would agree with taking our time, but I'd also agree that I think it might be wise to table it for now. Just speaking from a historical perspective, I know that there were many times in the past that we discussed the budget at length, but we never voted on it. We never approved a working budget. We continued to massage it and, work it through until we had a balanced budget in time for the appropriation ordinance. So I really don't feel comfortable approving a deficit budget when I think there's still more work to be done. It's still a document that can be used as a template for what needs to be done, but I don't really understand the urgency of passing a budget, a deficit budget, when we still can. We're not required to do so. We still have direction for our staff at this point.
Counselor, what happens, we're short a few people here. What happens if 2 people vote for it and 2 people vote against it?
It does not pass.
It fails.
Correct.
The motion fails.
There's 5 of us here though, or the mayor wouldn't vote on that?
We need,
I wouldn't vote on it.
at 2-2, the mayor wouldn't vote. At 3-1, the mayor votes to give you the 4th yes.
Okay.
You need 4 yeses.
Guess you have to have 4 people say yes. Any other questions or comments? Call the question.
Before you call it, if Randy was intending to make a motion to table, that motion would take precedence over the underlying motion.
I'm sorry, did you make a motion there?
I
missed
didn't,
it.
but at the direction of Pat.
And I'm not wanting to tell you what to do, but you suggested you wanted it tabled, and I didn't want you to lose the opportunity to make your motion, if that was your intention.
Is there any preference, because there's a motion on the table now, which I could either vote up or down?
Yeah, I think
Would accomplish
You
the
have the
same.
same effect.
Would accomplish, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. Call the question.
What are we, which one we?
This is, do you approve the preliminary temporary budget, or do you want to wait? A yes vote approves it. Did I get that right?
yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay. Dow.
Yes.
Herman.
No.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Belsley.
No.
2-2.
I'm really disappointed I don't get to vote. The motion fails. Chief, do you want to say anything else?
Yes, just 2 things on April 29th. Just another reminder that we are having our drug take back for expired medications. That'll be in our lobby of our police station. That'll be between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. We take all solids. We take any liquids in the original package. We don't take anything intravenous,
Any what?
IV, needles or anything like that.
Okay.
And then the other is, I'm still waiting for a certificate of insurance, but I have every belief that it will be forthcoming. But on the 29th is the Blessed Sacraments Community Faith Run, where they use our streets. So I spoke with them today, so I anticipate that certificate being in place.
Super. Counselor,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
fire and emergency.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Director of Public Works.
One item tonight, Your Honor. In front of you, I have acceptance of design phase engineering services agreement for the chlorine modifications project. This is the phase 2 for the chlorine scrubbers, and this is with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilly.
I noticed that CMT's here. Did you want them to make any kind of comments? Or?
You want to do that before a motion?
Well, let's have a motion to
That's fine.
approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Ginger. Now, would you like to have anyone make a
Well, I do have Scott DeSplinter here, and then also Superintendent Bob Burton. We've been working on this for quite a while. I would just like to add, this is phase 2, as I discussed at the last meeting, to be in accordance with our compliance commitment agreement with the EPA by the end of the year. This is something that we'd like to get started on fairly soon, to add chlorine scrubbers at both plants, or at each location. So I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Just that this was a requirement of the overall improvements. The EPA actually allowed you to divide it into 2 phases so that you could get the equipment installed and get utilizing it to correct some of the issues that you're seeing. And this actually follows up and corrects or brings the plant up to meet all the 10 state requirements for the code issues, to neutralize the chlorine gas if there was a spill, and also to isolate the feed and storage rooms and bring up the correct air exchanges and other items that are necessary as a part of the improvements.
Any questions? Call it.
Dobb.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Anything else?
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Planning and zoning.
I don't have anything on the agenda, Your Honor, but I do have one comment I'd like to make. I guess I'm kind of like the sign police, and all these roofing, siding contractor signs, I'm trying to get it to the residents. I don't know how else we do this, but that doesn't mean the sign goes in the yard 6 months before they do the job and stays there 6 months after. It means the ordinance is real clear. You can put your contractor sign there while you're working, but when you leave and the job's done, the sign goes with you. So I'm not sure how we would go around and enforce that. There are just so many of them. If they're in the right of way, they end up in my car and they go in a dumpster. But if they're in the yard, I don't do that. But if the residents know, maybe they can kind of police it themselves. And if not, we'll see what other measure we might have to take. So that's all I have.
Trustees, Mr. Belsley, would you like to add something else?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Trustee Dobb?
Nothing this evening.
Trustee Herman?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Kaufman?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
I won't be able to call you that much longer. One thing I think we probably should announce, you can help me with this, Craig Loudermilk. The ribbon cutting and the opening of the plaza is,
May 29th, Memorial Day.
so it's on Memorial Day and people should know that.
Yes, there should be flyers coming out. I think it'll be in the papers. Adam's here. He'll have a nice article, right, Adam? I know Steve's dying well. But yeah, we're working out the details as we speak, and there should be some notifications going out.
Great. We have to go into executive session. Can I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second? Second by Ginger. All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call vote.
Before we do that, we should probably indicate it's for the purpose of discussing collective negotiating matters between the village and its employees or their representatives per 5 ILCS 120/2C2.
I wanted to say that.
I apologize.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
We don't need any staff except for the administrator. Anybody, we don't plan to vote on anything when we're done, so anyone who'd like to leave can certainly do so now.